Okay, welcome to this video on getting started with MongoDB. In this video, I'm going to discuss the basics of MongoDB concerning creating a database, creating a collection, inserting your first documents into this collection, and so on. So to get started, basically I'm going to introduce what we will be using. We will be using MongoDB Compass, which is the graphical user interface for MongoDB. So Compass would help you interact with your data, see the data in front of you, and not just access it through a command line, as well as using MongoDB Shell. So MongoDB Shell is the command line interface for MongoDB. First of all, to install MongoDB, you could go to the documentation where they teach you how to install MongoDB and follow the steps. And then this would take you to the MongoDB download center where you would download the enterprise server or the community server, and you can have access to MongoDB Shell. You could also you can go to tools and download MongoDB Compass, which is the GUI for MongoDB. Okay, so this is MongoDB Compass. I already showed you. This is the interface you would get in order to access MongoDB. And then if you want to access MongoDB Shell, so all you have to do is go to your program files where MongoDB is installed. So here's MongoDB, and then you go to server, and then go to the corresponding version, then you go to bin, and then you must select Mongo. So not MongoD, Mongo would launch the MongoShell. So this is MongoShell. It's the command line interface for MongoDB. So this is what we have right now. So we have the shell and the compass. So just to keep things in parallel, I'm going to start by connecting to the database through Compass. So I could use an existing connection, or I could just demo how to connect to the localhost through the default MongoDB port. So to connect to localhost through MongoDB, to be able to see your data, so you need to go to MongoDB, and then you write localhost, and then you specify the port number. So you have to specify 017. And this is the default port for MongoDB. So you connect, and this is what I get. So this is the interface showing what I have in this instance of MongoDB, or this instance of the MongoDB client. So these are the databases I have. These 4 are built-in databases, and this is my database. So if we go to my database, we can check to see what is inside this database. So this is what's inside my database. These are a bunch of collections. We have a collection students, customers, movie, products, restaurant, grades, or whatever. So you could have different collections. Let's just visualize how everything looks. So if I want to go to a product, let's say, and these are different phone accessories, and you have each document. So I already described the structure of documents and the different data types that you could have inside a document in a previous video, which I will include the link for that below. Or you could also just stick around for this video because it is pretty intuitive to understand the structure of a MongoDB document. But if you want more detail, again, you can refer to that video. So this is how I can visualize a collection of documents. So I can see it right here, and I can just go back to my database, and then these are the collections I have. So how do I parallel this through the command line interface, which is MongoShell? So if I go to MongoShell and I want to know what databases I have, so all I have to do is type show DBs, and I enter, and this is what I get. So I get admin, config, example, local, my database, and these are the databases that we saw in Compass. So if I want to use my database, or so I want to access it and see what's inside it, so I say use my database, and now I am inside my database. So how do I know what database I'm inside? So say I've been typing commands forever, or like someone else is taking my laptop from me and they want to know who's inside this database right now. So they want to know what database we're currently in. So all you have to do is type DB, and it would just tell you my database. So this is the database you are inside. So okay, this is an existing database. How do I know what collections exist within this database? So all I have to do is show collections. And now I have a list of collections inside the database, so we can compare them, and this is the exact same. Alright, so this is how we can see all the data. So if I want to find all the data inside each collection, so if I want to go to movie, this is how so I type db dot collection name. So whatever the name of the collection I want to see the data inside, I have to type the name here. So db.movies.find. Okay, and we enter. I'm sorry, so I missed the fact that it's called movies and not movie and not movies. So db.movie.find. And now we get all this really ugly and dense data. So if I want to make it pretty and actually see the data in a reasonable way, so I just have to type db.movie.find.pretty. And this would print it out in a much more readable JSON format. So here we're getting the top 20 results from the movies database. So we have 46,000 different documents, so it's obviously not going to print all of them, so it's just going to print the first 20, and this is how we see it. Or we can visualize it in Compass right here. So now that we know how to access the data within a collection, we can do it for another collection. So if I go to students, so this is students, it has only one document, so one student, and I want to see what's inside it. So all I have to do is db.students.find. Okay, no, MongoDB is case sensitive. Students.find.pretty, because we want to see it in an appealing format. And so we get the student document of Joe. So that's basically how we retrieve data. But how do we create a database to begin with? So to create a database, or let's say to switch to a new database. So we're already inside my database, right? So if we db, we're inside my database. How do I switch to another database? Well, it's very simple. There's nothing you need to do other than type use, let's say, example, and you would just switch that database. So there's nothing else you need to do. If I want to create a database, what should I do? You also have to use the use command. So what MongoDB does is that when you say, let's say, use dbName, if dbName exists, it will switch to that. If it does not exist, it will create it and switch to dbName. So if we use dbName, alright, so I want to see if dbName was added to my list of databases. So if I write show dbs, and it was not. So why was that? The reason is MongoDB does not consider showing the database to you unless a collection is created inside it and at least one document is inserted to that collection. So basically, a database cannot exist without data in MongoDB. This is very important. You will not be able to see it here. So if you actually want to see dbName, even though we are inside it, so if we type db, we are inside dbName. If we want to see it, we must insert data first. So we want to create a collection. So let's say db.create collection, and I want to name it people. Enter. We get an OK response. When we get an OK response, that means the collection was created. So after getting our OK response, to verify whether the database and the collection were created inside Mongo, so we refresh our data here, and now we can see dbName with the collection people, which is empty and it has no data. You can import data from a JSON or CSV file if you want to do it manually, but for this tutorial we're going to do it through the shell. So okay, we created this new collection. What do we do now? So to insert elements, all we have to do is use the insert command. So db.people.insert, and this is where you would create a document, and let's say name is Jane Doe. Age is 30. Let's give her more information. Country is France. Alright, so this is our document. So we enter, and then we get a result. Number of inserted documents is 1. So if we refresh here, now we have Jane's document. A automatically generated object ID was pushed to this document by MongoDB itself without us having to do anything. So we specified 3 fields: the name, age, and country, and MongoDB added its own field, which is the ID, and this is done by MongoDB itself. However, we can specify it ourselves. So let's say I want to add another document: db.people.insert John Smith. Alright, oh no, insert name John Smith, age 50. Let's say I don't want to specify country at all. I can do that because MongoDB does not force me to have the same fields for every different document in a collection. But I want to specify the ID field. So I say the ID is 123 and I enter. Number of inserted is 1. Let's refresh. And we have John Smith with ID 123 and age 50. So this is how we insert a single document into a database. If I want to insert more than one document, it's fairly simple. So what we have to do is db.people.insert many. We have to open up an array of documents so that we can insert separate documents. We call it, let's say the first one is name Mary, age 20, and we close this document. We have another document with name Bob, and a third document with simply name Jane again. So I cannot think of any names. So we have to close the array, enter. So inserted IDs, we have 3 newly inserted documents, and these are their IDs. If we refresh, we have 3 more documents with the data that we just inserted. So that's basically how we created our first database. We created our first collection, inserted our first few documents. If I want to access these documents, it's db.people.find, so .pretty if you want to see it. And that's how we do it, so we can get a JSON format. And that's basically it. So we just summarized the basics of MongoDB. Now you know how to create your first database and do all the necessary operations to get it up and running. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was beneficial. If you have any suggestions or comments, please leave a comment below or contact me through my email. Thank you very much.